Okay, here's just a quick update of what I got going on with my kaijus. Okay, so about a couple of replacement parts for some stuff that I broke on this one, the bumper and whatnot, kind of messed it up. Yeah, this one is the old one. I put this one on my EXT. And it fit. I managed to get it back together. So the EXT now got some Kaiju hand-me-downs and some pop-ups. Yeah, I got all the nice shiny aluminum on the EXT now. But yeah, I still gotta do a couple of more things to this since the bloody diffs are just completely empty. I gotta go in there and get them all bathed up in some good silicone oil. But yeah, I took actually that's the Kaiju Willy bar, the whole Kaiju Willy bar. I took off the EXT Willy bar to make room for monster truck body. Yeah, I found a body in there that'll just completely fit on it. Seriously, I mean, you joking? I mean, literally the stock tenacity body fits right on the damn thing. The stuff you figure out sometimes. I mean, it looked like it fit, but literally the holes lined up, so it just fit right on the thing. No problem. So the Kaiju can look more like a monster truck, and I don't have to mess up that orange body. But going back to my original Kaiju that kind of looks like a crate now because of the wing and the body that I got on it. God, this thing done been through a couple of changes. I mean, I got giant hex extenders on there. It has the Creighton axles on there because the stock ones couldn't handle the hex extensions and they bent up. So, what else have I done to this thing? Oh, yeah. It has more armor parts on there now. Yeah. The arms off the Mojave. Yeah, I'm just gonna buy all the Mojave arms now. These are rear arms. Yeah, even the front's got the rear arms on there. And the rears, as you can see, they're just completely bolt-ons. I mean, 100% bolt-ons. And this absolutely shores up the truck. I mean, it just feels beefy as all hell with these arms on there. Of course, I got the other arms on the upper arms. Yeah, I don't even want to go through that anymore. Yeah, as you can see, I got them on the EXT too. I don't want to be bothered with the upper arms. They're junk. They can change out those arms as much as they want to and try to beef them up as much as they want to, but the design is horrible. I mean, if I could say they're any more than horrible, I would, but they're bad. I mean, people can say they don't break them, but that's because they don't run the truck. It's just that simple. If you run the truck, you was going to break those upper arms. And they have those same arms on the what's that new truck that they just came out with? Oh yeah, the Rival MT8. Those same arms that was on the EXT was on the MT8. Done. So, Mojave Arms. Oh my God. I mean, they are more than twice as thick. More than twice as thick as the Kaiju Arms. More than twice as thick. That's nuts. That's absolutely freaking ridiculous. There's no comparison whatsoever. None. I mean, I can't understand just how bad the arms on the Kaiju are until you change them out for something like this. And I wonder why my Mojave hasn't broke yet. Ever. I mean, if you have something like this, you can just forget about them ever breaking. On a truck this light, I mean, the Kaiju is what, like 10 pounds soaking wet? Yeah, it's not gonna break. It's gonna tumble and tumble and tumble and never break. So, yeah, the only thing about these arms is that the Kaiju's hinge pins are 4 millimeters, while the Mojave Arms are for 5 millimeter hinge pins. So you can either throw them on there and be done with it, and who cares, because it's not going to be too much of a difference. I mean, yeah, I actually put the armor pin in there. I drilled out the stupid aluminum to 5 millimeters and just stuck the pin in there and been done with it. As for this, the hinge pin, the inner hinge pin, it's like, it is what it is. It's the normal 4 millimeter hinge pin. I just put it in there and be done with it. I mean, you can see it's not moving at all, hardly any. I mean, that millimeter of space is nothing, literally nothing, especially on the back. I mean, if this was a racing rig, I'd be a little more concerned about it. But as bolt on as the rears are, the fronts is not bolt on at all. You actually have to get rid of some stuff, and this is kind of absolutely not hard to see at all. I mean, not hard to get a visual on how much stuff you actually have to get rid of. Yeah, I should have done it while I was off the truck, but I was a little too stoked and bolted it on the truck before I made the video, so oh well. But you do have to bevel off some stuff right there on each side, on the ends of this cross beam right there. You got to get rid of some of that stuff. And if you try to do it, it's not that much, and you can easily get rid of that stuff with a hobby knife. You don't even have to go hit up a Dremel or whatnot. You can just do it with a hobby knife and whittle it down like a regular old folk and be done with it. It's just plastic, and don't cut yourself. Yeah, because you can easily cut yourself with a hobby knife. But yeah, that's what those gloves was made for. And you can get the gloves, you know, the cut-proof gloves, if you're really bad at doing that kind of stuff. I mean, I used to wear the cut-proof gloves, but yeah, I can manage to do something like that without cutting myself too much now, which is great, because this upgrade really turns this truck into something else. I mean, beyond something else. Of course, I got my arm on there now, the upper arm, but the lower arm always twisted horribly. I can even show you it on this damn thing. Yeah, it's twisting like a, oh boy, just go away, get. And as you can see, nothing at all. So yeah, no twisting, no flexing, nothing. This arm is literally as beefy as it is rigid. So no more twisted, busted, bent drive shafts, thank God, because the drive shafts on this thing is monkey metal, and there's really no way of unmonkeying the metal since it is what it is. And the drive cups on the Kaiju is not normal size drive cups for 8 scale stuff, so you just can't switch them out for any other normal 8 scale drive cup that's going to fit like an armor arm, or I mean that's going to fit like an armor CVD, you know, like trying to bolt on the the Mojave CVDs to this thing, no, you won't be able to do it because because the drive cup is really pathetic. But it is what it is. You just have to deal with it. It's actually good enough for 6S if you cover the cup with bearings so it don't split in half. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous, the stuff you gotta go through for a RC. But it's now a beefcake. It is a legitimate beefcake. All the stuff that I had to run through this stupid truck, the aluminum upgrades, the bloody arm that's on here, and going through so many renditions of that. The arm that I tried to make that cracked. Now the Mojave Arms are on here. You can see all the fans that's on here to keep the damn thing cool, because on 6S the stupid motor heats up to 200 degrees and be like, okay, it's time to cook some eggs on this thing. The plastic spur gear that they finally got 2 different steel spur gears for it now. The EXT still has that centered plastic thing that I really don't like, even though it haven't stripped out yet. And considering how much I done beat down on this truck, even with these upgrades, because it's not new anymore. The chassis doesn't really have all that much crap on it, but the rest of this truck isn't new anymore. Yeah, it's been getting beat up. And the few days that I've been actually ran it. So yeah, I'll throw that on there and be done with this. Yeah, we had a nice little 7-degree day today. And I've been beaten down on the Kaiju. Yeah. I mean, for a 6S truck that still has basically the stock drivetrain in it. I mean, the drivetrain, the metal in the drivetrain might suck compared to a normal 8-scale truck like an Armor or Corrali, something with a actual 8-scale drivetrain, real hardened steel instead of this. I want to say it's like HRC 40 or some crap like that. It's something that's a little bit harder than stainless steel. The normal hardness for a drivetrain for an armor truck is right around HRC 50. The crappy monkey metal stuff that you can get from China is HRC 45. And if you want to go something higher than that, the Technos is like, I think they told me it was like HRC 63. Yeah. And Team Associate, they used to use like HRC 62, but I don't know what the hell is in their stuff now. That Rival that I got, that is some hard ass shit. That's easily HRC 60. Not the MT8, the original Rival. It's like HRC 60. It's definitely a hardness, a good hardness. And yeah, that's me coming from my days as a metal guy that loved to actually work on that kind of stuff, welding and all that kind of crap that I can kick back into every once in a while when I feel like it. But yeah, when it comes to metal, all metal is not created equal, and that goes to the powdered centered gears in this truck. But just like the stuff that Traxxas use, they use that powder centered metal pressed gears. They literally take metal shavings, grind it down into a powder, and then press it with some heat to form a gear. Now, it was pressed from steel powder, so it's seriously steel. It is what it is. But that stuff, just like the gears in this truck, come directly out of that press, and they throw it into a truck or into a baggie to sell to you as a steel gear. The problem in that comes in that the hardness of a centered gear straight off of a press is like 28 to 35, somewhere around there. Now, if that gear is heat treated, it can reach a hardness of around, properly heat treated. Some companies, they heat treat a centered part, like a drain or something. They're heat treated maybe with 3 or 4 repetitions between like 500 and 2500 degrees. You don't want to go too higher than that because it'll just disintegrate the metal. Yeah, it'll turn it back to a plastic. It'll turn it back to a powder easily at 2500 degrees. Yeah, so they'll hit it up like 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, somewhere around that. And each repetition requires, a certain amount of cooling off. And there's water tempering and oil tempering. I like oil tempering because it literally coats the gear and the carbon from the oil, and that tries to, that's an extra layer of protection from rust and all the other bullcrap that can happen. That's why a lot of these sintered gears have some sort of anodizing that's literally straight from the pressing process. That first layer of powder actually ends up being anodized by the heat of the press. That's why the gear looks like it does. Yeah, it's a cheap process, but if that gear isn't heat treated, it's gonna have that 30 hardness, and no matter how big it is, it's gonna be some garbage. It's gonna end up chipping teeth, and it won't last nowhere near as long as an actual hardened steel gear, which is kind of sad. Yeah, I know it sucks, and it is what it is, but that's why the gears in this truck, the bloody pinion and spur, and not the spur. The spur is a whole different thing. The ring and pinion for the differential, the front and rear differential, they're like $7, $8, $10. The same with the X-Max. That gear is $10. It's fucking cheap as hell. Why? Because it's a press can press some powdered steel in literally like 20 seconds. And so that steel gear, on an average, cost to make, it's probably in the range of maybe 30 to 40 cents. Yeah, it's next to nothing, and then they charge you $10 for it because they gotta bag it up, they gotta process it and pack it and ship it out, and all that costs money. So you end up paying $10 for it. You put it in your truck, and it end up lasting about as long as it wants to last. I done heat treated all the gears in this truck that I could. Yeah, you can't heat treat the hardened steel drive shafts that's already hardened and into a state. Monkey metal can only be hardened to another state of monkey metal. I know I'm rambling on about this, but this is just one of my pet peeves about this hobby. And I really, really don't like it. But it is what it is. That just turns my buttons. Just presses my buttons every time somebody talks about a goddamn steel gear. In retrospect, it is steel. That powdered centered gear is steel. It was made from steel. Although it's powdered steel, pressed to shape, to form, it's steel. Legitimately, it's steel. But if it's not heat treated, if it don't have that curing process, if you want to call it, for metal, if it don't have that, it can lose half its hardness. It has half the potential that it has over a hardened steel gear. That's why actual hardened steel gear costs as much as it does, because it has that process. It has that machining process. All of that stuff, it costs money. You're paying for all of that. The gears that's in the armor, the gears that's in the corralling, all of those hardened steel machine, all those extra processes that it goes into actual machine part. Because you can have a cast part too that can go through machine and then end up just as hard as a CNC machine gear. But that's still processes that the gear has to go through to end up being like that. And most of the center parts out there don't do nothing but get pressed and sent out. Pressed and sent out. Pressed and sent out. Pressed and sent out. Done. So, yeah, you can do it yourself. You can definitely take a centered gear and harden it. And you can do it with a normal butane torch from Home Depot or Menards. And normally you won't be able to heat that gear up enough to destroy it, because the gear is large enough to take on the heat and dissipate it while you're blowing it with the butane torch. And the butane torch can get up to 3,500 degrees, give or take. But that's the temperature of the gas. Now, there's a lot of heat loss in between that flame and the gear. And yeah, I actually do have some gears upstairs that I can try to do that process with a video. And I might actually do that. Yeah, I should probably go in and do that just for the heck of it. And the end result of it does end up looking pretty awesome, to say the least. So, yeah, I've been rambling on enough about this. I got my Kaiju all beefed up and ready to wreck again. Yeah. I mean, sometimes the stuff you go through to get a car to be bashable. I mean, I always knew that this truck has some potential. It's just that getting it to that potential is a pain in the ass. So, yeah, this video has been going on long enough. So, Kaiju EXT. Yeah, I might actually end up throwing on the Creighton hexes and getting this thing as wide as this boy, because this thing is 2 inches wider than the EXT over there. Feeling sorry for itself. And with that 2 inches, I mean, I can see why they made this thing longer, but once it means nothing when the car is just about as stable as a rolling pin. But yeah, keep on rumbling, keep on making this video longer and longer. Done. Kaiju EXT. Ugh.